Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about our closing process with our condo. It's a little bit different based off of the pandemic or the fact that we're in a New York City condo, so wherever you are it could be different based off of your state or city laws and regulations. So today I want to talk about our closing process and also about things that you may want to be aware of. Honestly, I think the process was so simple for us. And when I'm comparing it to my friend who is actually, she just closed her townhouse at the time of this recording in California, the process actually was pretty different. So I want to go over that so that way whenever you guys go through the process, you'll also be aware of that as well. And I'm also going to be doing a separate video in terms of lessons learned that I'll involve Addison. So that way we get both perspectives of like my perspective and then his perspective from either a personal, financial, or the entire real estate journey. So thank you guys so much, and let's get right to it. So first off is the contract signing. In New York, the contract is the one that's binding, not the offer. So technically, if we have like the offer, if the offer was accepted on like, let's say December 1st and the contract wasn't signed until December 10th, technically those 10 days could actually be entertaining other offers. So that's something that a lot of people have been telling me, especially our agent was like, we need to act fast, because if there's someone that puts in a better offer, they can still technically entertain it and drop your offer. So that's something to keep in mind of, because that was something that was like, okay, well, we need to act fast on. And the thing about condos is that we have to do due diligence, and New York is an attorney state, so we did have to actually hire an attorney. Thankfully, I already knew a real estate attorney because we went to some kind of like BU alumni real estate event, and there was like a perspective of a lending agent, a real estate agent, and the real estate attorney. So that the funny thing was like we actually went with the real estate agent team there plus the real estate attorney, so both were BU alumni. The real estate attorney for the one that we went for was actually a flat fee, so no matter what, it was just going to be that flat fee either through disbursements or any extended period of time. I mean, of course there's going to be some added fees if we want to do something like power of attorney, and I'll get back into that later. And for that it was actually completely different. So when it came to the contract signing, after that, once we did all the due diligence and made sure that everything was good and on par, which by the way, when it came to due diligence, what our attorney does, at least in New York State, is to review the board meeting minutes. So in this case, we have HOA. So the HOA of the condo does have a lot of meeting minutes and financials that are available to really just to see like how the building's doing. And it will see like the reserves, in this case it would be savings, and any upcoming assessments or capital investments that they're going to be tacking on to us. So there actually is an assessment going on for our condo. I forgot what it's called, but it's essentially that every 5 years or so, they're gonna have to go check every single brick to make sure it's still in place. It started out because apparently a few decades ago, someone got hurt or actually got killed from a brick falling off of a building. So our building is basically made out of bricks. So they have to go check in every single building and every single brick. So with that, it actually costs money. They're going to attach an assessment fee per every month. And something our agent was able to do actually was to negotiate that the seller pays for that. And that ended up happening. So in that case, we didn't pay for the assessment fee, even though it's going to be like for a few years or so. But the thing is, after those 5 years or so are up, we have to pay for it. And thankfully, we're done with that. And there was something that we need to worry about as well as like all the other monthly fees. The mortgage interest rate is really good because of the economy right now. Just to kind of let you guys know, we got a 2.49%. And it's honestly because of the pandemic, like we got really low rates, but we did have to buy points. And I'm not an expert in points, but it's really just you're buying percentage points off of your purchase price to end up getting a lower interest rate. So you have to do the math there, because if you're only here for a few years, it may not be worth it because you didn't break even. But like, let's say for example, for us, that 2.49%, it was actually more of like 4 years or so to break even. So we ended up going for it because we're definitely going to be here for longer than 4 years. If you were doing this as a short-term purchase, which I don't understand why you would do that then, maybe not, but that's something to keep in mind though, because if you do have that, you may end up paying more upfront and never breaking even on that. So that's something to keep in mind. I would definitely defer to other videos and resources on this. I'm not an expert. I just did the math and I was like, okay, you know what? It's worth it, then why not? So that's how we were able to get 2.49. But I think at the time, the market rate was like 3.25% for those who did not want to do points. And for a lot of the banks that we were going to, actually, they were able to kind of negotiate and also take in new prices. So we were to get one quote to go to another. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And they have to go through their portfolio. And actually, we ended up not going for that particular bank. We ended up going with Chase, where we trusted more. We have our bank accounts with them as well. And in general, like my mom even has a bank account with them. So we were already aware of the entire situation. At the time of the contract signing, there's also the 10% earnest money that needs to be provided. So for us, the purchase price was actually $815,000. So we needed to provide $81,500 at the time of contract signing. So in this case, we had to wire the money directly to the escrow account. And that was a little bit interesting for us because we always thought it would go to like the seller. And again, this is just like, we are in our 20s, we're like 24, and our parents don't really know how to say this in English or anything like that. So it seems like pretty obvious that it goes to escrow, and people say go to escrow, but we never really knew until we're in the process. So we wired over the money into escrow. Something you definitely need to keep in mind, and our attorney also made sure that we did this too. You have to call the other attorney and like verify all of the wiring information, because definitely wiring fraud is a thing. So I've even seen some posts in like real estate Facebook groups where people actually got tricked of their money. They would wire money to a different account where it's like completely scam. It's like basically you've lost your down payment. For a lot of people, that's a lot of their money. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. You have to verify the wiring instructions. And you also have to make sure that it's correct, because I'm going to get back into later this, but like I had an incident in my in our second time around, the other 10%, which is at closing. I lost 10 years of my life, but we'll get there. Stick until the end of this video to get there. So when it came to the actual bank closing process, luckily, because a lot of other people in our building at this particular year have actually used Chase for their banks, that they actually already have looked at a lot of the building documents that they were recently provided. So that was a lot of it done out of the way. And we also had something called a desktop appraisal. I still don't know exactly what it is, but apparently you don't need an appraisal. My guess is that it's mostly just the fact that they have other condos around here that were falling around the same price range that we had, so they were fine with it. So we had no one coming in for an appraisal, and we skipped that appraisal fee and we went right into the process of providing all the documents. So that's where like a lot of the documents provided were previously provided when it came to getting pre-approved. However, these documents are like, for example, I had to verify my address for each time I moved. There were addresses I didn't even recognize because they went that far back, but that was something you had to keep in mind. Another thing was like, for example, if you had gift money, you need a gift letter. If they ever see like a huge large sum going into your bank account, you have to explain it. Maybe it's like salary, maybe it's not, or whatever. You have to provide your tax forms and everything. It really depends on like your kind of situation. I know self-employed people probably have a way harder situation, but thankfully I just have one job and that was all. And if you have multiple bank accounts, so that is so annoying, because you have to provide bank statements for the past like 2-3 months or something like that for each account. So what I ended up doing is I had a lot of money in my savings, and I basically barely had anything in my checking account by design, because I wanted to make sure that everything I do is either to pay off bills or to go straight to savings. So it's like, it's always been very low in my checking account. So I didn't even include in my checking accounts. You can actually exclude bank accounts for your process. So for me, I only just included really one bank account. However, like Addison had so many bank accounts that he wanted to include because they're kind of well distributed, which you should, by the way, you should be doing that. I'm already doing that poorly, because what if my bank are already just like, oh, went bankrupt, or like someone hacked in or something? I lost all my money basically. But that's something to keep in mind when it comes to providing your bank account information. So when it came to the actual bank process specifically, once we provided all the paperwork, we got conditional approval. And what that means is that you have done all of the things that you could do. Now it's really just going to the underwriter, and they're going to list all the things that you need to make sure to provide for them to actually really approve you. So for example, like let's say you have gift money in and you need to have a gift letter. So they would say you need to have a gift letter in order to close. Something like that. Or if you maybe have like employment change or something like that and you need to provide an employment letter, that could also be a condition as well. Anything like that, it could be a little bit weird depending on your situation, but for us it was pretty self-explanatory. Then, because we also are in a condo, we have to actually fill out a board application to the HOA. So the board application did have like a lot of forms that we had to sign, a lot of waivers as well. Some waivers we had to sign was that, like, for example, they're not going to be liable for any issues when it came to the gym, just because, you know, it's at your own risk. And some of them could be like, here are the house rules and whatnot, so please sign them. And in addition to that, there was a lot of fees that were involved as well. So in this case, like moving fee or application fee or anything like that. And thankfully, because of the credit check, we actually did it through Compass, which is our real estate agency. And when we did it through Compass, it was a lot cheaper than if we did it through HOA, which was like, I forgot, it was like $70, $80. But with Compass, it was like $25. It's the same exact system they run when it comes to the actual rentals, that they need a credit check. So for that, it really helped us save a lot of money. Then after that, they have to do title. And because my name is so common, the attorneys actually had to take some time on this. They had to clear out title for my particular name specifically. Addison had no issues at all. I didn't have to do anything, but the title did take a while because they had to clear out all of the judgments against my particular name. And the funny thing is, like, it wasn't even my actual name. They're just doing anything similar within New York, and it doesn't have to be of any address that I've been at. So, like, for example, a Christina Wong or a Christine Wang, those were the kind of names that were being picked up, and they just did it anyways. So it did take a while because, you know, my name is so common, but that's something that could slow you down, but honestly, I don't think so, because I've never really heard of anyone having issues with this. At least, hope you don't. Then from the actual bank process, we are finally approved. We did actually have to get home insurance as well. So we had to get a quote and then send them over. So that was like one of the final details as well. And then that's it, we were done. So after that, we had to coordinate closing. And honestly, this is where it gets a little bit interesting because we are in a situation where we're also renting an apartment. We're technically still renting it right now. And I want to close as much as possible closer to like December or so, because in my particular process, I actually can't just find someone to replace me. It actually goes through the whole affordable housing lottery again. So make sure to check out the video over here if you want to see how exactly that happens, because I got affordable housing for my particular apartment back in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. And because of that, it also is run by a lot of like HPD, like government agencies or whatever. That way the landlord actually gets some kind of tax abatement. But because of that, I can't just leave right away and be done with it. I have to actually keep on paying rent until they find someone. So it could get really annoying. So because of that, I want to delay closing as much as possible so we can move in as late as possible. So that way I don't have to pay a lot of mortgage and monthly fees and whatnot in addition to rent. Unfortunately, because of the rate lock, which by the way, we actually locked in our rate like 40 days. So that was actually 2.49 for 40 days. So because our rate lock was there, and also because of COVID-19, they actually gave us a free extension of 15 days. So unfortunately, that means that we had only up until like November 13th or something like that to actually do it. Otherwise, we would lose the rate, and we wanted that rate. Like, I was willing to pay an extra couple $1,000s on rent to save a lot of thousands of dollars on interest. So that's something to keep in mind. And finally, after that, we had to wire the final 10% plus the closing fees as well. So that was something where I'm gonna go right into this drama that I had where so first off, when it came to wiring, oh my god. I got all of the information right except for the bank address, and I don't understand why. Like, I had to do, so our closing day was actually on November 10th. It was a day before Veterans Day, and so because of that, we were really rushing. A lot of people were rushing too, because Veterans Day, that's when the banks close, so you can't really close on that day. However, because of that, we also had to schedule our walkthrough the same exact day. Literally, our walkthrough was at 9 a.m. and then our closing was at 11 a.m. So there really wasn't that much time. But because the bank took some time to actually provide all the closing estimates and numbers on Monday, so that was where we were like, okay, well, we need that information so that way we can send the right amount. So at this time, this is when we were like, They were giving us our wire instructions at like 4 p.m. on Monday. And you know, like I mentioned before, you want to verify the information before you send it over. So we only really had Tuesday morning to do it. And again, we had our walkthrough at 9 a.m. and we had closing at 11 a.m. So we were just calling at before 9 a.m. before we were outside and we could not do it because they were not even at the office. They provided a landline number, not a cell phone number. So finally at like 9:30 a.m. we got an email that they were finally in the office. So between 10 a.m., which is around the time we ended our walkthrough, to 11 a.m., we were calling to verify the wiring instructions, and I was literally doing the wiring on my phone. There was no time to really go to a bank. There was no time to actually do it on like over a phone call, so we literally did it in a Chase app. Oh my God, there were so many difficulties that day. Like to basically tell you the truth, I put in all the information correct, but then the bank address, it was one of those things where you put in the routing number and they have like 4 or 5 locations of that particular bank address, and I selected the right one. But then when I sent the wiring information, it did not go to the right one. So I was like, no, I can't do that anymore. If it was still pending, I could still kind of cancel it, not really. But then if it's sent over, then it's definitely can't be canceled. You have to ask for a recall. So because of that, we had to go right into closing. And actually, I had to even do a money order because I had a wiring limit. I'm like, what? It must be the type of account I had. I don't know why I had a wiring limit. But for me specifically, I had to go to Chase, which is literally only I had to actually push closing for 30 minutes. I had to actually go to Chase and actually get a bank check so that way I can provide it at closing for the remaining amount, because they didn't let me send out more than the limit that we had. So from that, we went there to closing, and it actually took hours. It was like 1 to 2 hours. I did not believe it. We wanted to do signing in person, but mostly because of the fact that it costed money to do power of attorney. But otherwise, I would have just, I probably would not have wanted to go into the contract signing. But you know what? I did it anyways, because at the end of the day, we want content, and also we were acting safe. So you can see that we're wearing masks. So that entire time we were being very safe. We were socially distanced from the other people in the office. Yes, we were actually in our current real estate attorney's office. Typically it's done at the seller's attorney's office, but for some reason we were at our attorney, and it was just us. So it's apparently called a limited closing, where it was literally just our attorney, the title closer, and us. So the sellers were not there. My guess is because of COVID-19. I don't know if it's because of that, but I'm pretty sure it is. But because of that, it was mostly just us, our attorney, and the title closer, because there was a lot of paperwork, and then there was a lot of calling, because they also have to talk to the seller's attorney, then they have to talk to title, and then they have to talk to all these kind of things out there. They even had to talk to like the seller's mortgage banker or whatever to make sure that the balance was correct. So that took some time as well. And then after that, they had to send all the paperwork to the bank approves it, and then sends it back. So we signed a lot of papers, and then finally we got that done, and we wanted to go celebrate with lunch. So we got everything, but on Tuesday night, which is basically the day of our closing, they said they never received my wire. I was like, oh my God, what is happening? So I looked into the bank app, and then I was like, it's sent to the wrong address. So I actually spoke to my attorney and was like, is this an issue? Like, could they wait? And they did say that they could wait as long as the money came. And because of Veterans Day, I couldn't do anything that Wednesday. It's a bank holiday as well. So I had to wait for Thursday. So the suspense was killing me. So technically we closed on Tuesday, but we didn't officially close until Thursday or Friday. So I was like, oh my God, there's so much stress. So Thursday came around, and I still did not know if the money came through while I was on the phone with Chase trying to figure out what is going on. That's where the seller's attorney said, yes, we received the money in the escrow. So my guess is because of the fact that the address was incorrect, but the routing number is correct. It did take some time to go through, because typically if you send it out before 4 p.m. Eastern, it should be there the same day, but for some reason it didn't. So my guess is because of the address, they had to investigate it a little bit more, but it worked out in the end, and now we're actually in this condo. We closed, we got all the documents, we scheduled times for moving, and we also went to go paint on the weekend. So I'm going to insert some clips here to show you that so we actually painted our walls a little bit like an off-white, so that way it's a little bit warmer color. You can kind of see it here. Like right now this light is very warm, but you can see it's not bouncing off really that white. It's like bouncing off very warm tones. It's not that white. It's actually like a really subtle off-white. Like our closets are white, so you're gonna see So when I show you the tour in a different video, I'm going to do like a before and after video, because we did get an apartment and it was really nice and everything, but we did want to make our finishing touches because we did own this condo. It's not like we're renting where we can't really customize it the way we want. So we could paint it, we can do renovations, we can even change the shower head, which I'm actually going to be doing today. Keep an eye out for that video to really see exactly what we were doing. And oh my god, after that we scheduled for moving, and finally we moved in, and now we have like we actually took 2 weeks off of work, so it's like PTO, so technically I'm getting paid for this. So I took all of this week off. So this is actually like the week of the 16th and then also the week of 23rd. So I ended up taking this week off too because of the fact that Thanksgiving is literally right around the corner. Why not? So that's what I ended up doing, and now we're just trying to do some finishing touches. So that's why you're seeing this view. This shouldn't be the normal view because we have an uplift standing desk set up, but we're missing some pieces, so it's not completely set up. And until we have the desk up, we can't do our office. So that is actually where we're doing everything there. But I'm doing it here, and honestly I kind of like this. What do you guys think? I like this light. I've always had this light, if you guys noticed it in the background of some of my videos. It's kind of cute because it's an Edison light bulb, so it has this kind of like cute vibe. And then over here is actually a lamp that we just bought today. So I'm just kind of using this right now with the window in front of me, so it looks really cool actually. I kind of like this lighting, so let me know if you guys like this. This is Addison's Bose Bluetooth speaker, and then I have my Pico projector here, so that way we can actually watch on a projector and against the white wall, of course, to whatever we want to watch. And we finally have a TV too, so that was amazing. So I kind of like the timing of closing because that way we are actually here and we can buy a lot of things for Black Friday sales, either furniture or technology or anything like that. While if we waited to close later, we probably would still be buying things on Black Friday, but we'd be crowded into a little one-bedroom apartment with everything there. So I'm kind of happy that we did this instead. And the thing about like our closing is that because of the timing of our closing, we actually don't have another payment until January 1st of 2021. So that was really great to hear. So that was our closing process. Thank you guys so much, and please subscribe if you want to learn more about this. We're gonna also have a lessons learned video as well. So for example, the wiring information, that's gonna be on there too. But also a lot of things like personally, like, ooh, why did we decide to do this instead of that? So that way, if you guys are still trying to learn more about your own process or try to figure out what you want to do, you can learn from our mistakes and also the decisions we made. So that way that can help you out a little bit too. So thank you guys so much, and see you guys next time. Bye.